Hello and welcome to the Sarah Seams podcast. My name is Sarah. This channel is where I share all about my crafty projects. It's mostly knitting, but I like to sprinkle in the other fiber arts as well. So today we have a bit of spinning and sewing to chat about in addition to all the knitting. Today we are doing a regularly scheduled podcast episode. So I have a few FOs to share with you, including the one I'm wearing. I have quite a few whips, including many new cast-ons and one absolutely devastating tragedy that I will share with you. We will have a very small acquisition section and then some chat at the end. I have something I would really love your feedback on today, so I hope you'll hang out with me for the whole episode. You can find me on Instagram at Sarah_Seams or on Ravelry at Sarah Ribble. Those are both linked in the description box below. Today is November 2nd. It has been quite chilly here in Columbus, Ohio. We have some beautiful fall foliage. Today is like a clear day, but we've been in the low 40s to high 50s temperature range for the past week and a half. So it's kind of been peak sweater weather, which has been really nice and enjoyable. So let's jump right into it because I have, as usual, lots to share today. One thing I do like to shout out at the top before I forget, I post these long form podcasts once a month, usually right at the end of the month. So today we're kind of going to cover everything I worked on in October. And then the 3 weeks in between, I post a Friday fiber chat every week, which is like a little short form, kind of bite-sized video. And the ones I did in October, I just wanted to shout them out. I talked about the Westknits MCAL. So if you want to see more about the beginning of my shawl or the ones that I knit the past few years, you could check that out. I shared all of my sock whips for a little Socktober video. And then my most recent one was my top 10 tips for newer knitters. So whether you are a newer knitter yourself or you have a newer knitters in your life, could be something to share with them. Those will all be linked in the description box below as well. So now that that's out of the way, let's jump in to finished objects and we can start with the one I'm wearing. So this is my Dopio. I knit this with 3 yarns held together. 2 of them were gifted to me by my friend Jess. Hi Jess. When she came to visit in August, she brought these 2 yarns, 4 of each, I think, the fingering weight and the Surrey. And we were both kind of like, how can we use this color? Because it was this kind of peachy color that's pretty similar to both of our skin tones. So we decided to break up that sweater quantity. We each took 2 skeins of fingering and 2 skeins of mohair. And we decided while she was here, we would each find a third color to mix in with them that would make it different enough from our skin tone that we could still wear it. And we each ended up picking polar opposite colors. Mine was more cool, shades of purple and blue. Hers was a really pretty cream and yellow, kind of golden color. But we ended up with sisters but not twins, Dopio sweaters that are really, really cute. So I don't have the leftover yarns with me, I apologize about that, but the peach color that you see here was kind of the solid tonal of the main colors. And the fingering weight yarn was from Yarn Addict Co., now known as Little Fiber Co. The color was Rosé, and this was a 100% non-superwash merino. Really, really nice to work with. I really enjoyed that base. And then the matching Surrey Alpaca was from Woolberry Fiber Co., and it was the color Bouquet. So then the color I chose is my third color, which you can see, and I'll stand up in a minute so you can see better. It was kind of this purpley blue color running through here, and it also had a little bit of that peachy color in it. Was from Dye Mad Yarns, who are a local dye studio. They have their own shop. They dye everything in-house. And this is their Chester sock base, which is a superwash nylon blend, and the color is Temperance. So yes, this is the Dopio by, I think it's Sunghi Knits. I'll stand up so you can see it. Hopefully up close you can see how pretty that blue and purple yarn kind of shines through. It definitely did some interesting pooling, particularly on the sleeves. On this side, there's a big chunk of blue here, and then on this side, there's a big chunk of the peachy color, but I really don't mind. I think it looks really cute with this blue denim skirt. I love this outfit together. It has a double folded collar, really nice and squishy. It is a compound raglan, so it has really nice shaping, but I will say it's a very deep armhole. You can probably see that as I'm wearing it. My armpit is here and the raglan comes all the way down here. So I don't really mind that when I'm wearing it. It's super cozy, but that's just something to note about this sweater. And I think it's definitely, this has some superwash in it, so it probably grew a little bit more than a non-superwash version would, but I think just something to note. I did omit some of the details on this. In the pattern, they have like a faux seam that goes down the sleeves and the body. I just omitted that, just knit in the round. Here's the back. I cropped the body slightly, but not too much, only by like an inch, I think. And same with the sleeves, I cropped the sleeves slightly. But yeah, really love how it turned out. It is warm, but it's not like suffocatingly warm, you know? I mean, it's 2 plies of fingering weight and a suri, so it's chunky, it knits up really quickly. I could definitely see myself making more of these in the future. I thought it was super fun, and I'm excited for me and Jess to have our kind of matching sweaters. So yeah, that is my Dopio. I knit size 5 with no mods to the size, aside from shortening the body length slightly. So yeah, I mean, you can see it is still similar to my skin tone, but I think adding that cool color gives it a lot more interest and makes it different enough that I'm still comfortable wearing it and not just looking like I'm like naked or something. So that is my Dopio. Okay, next one is a pair of socks. I only finished 1 pair of socks in October for the first time all year, which is kind of ironic because it's Socktober. You think I would have finished more, but no. Most months I finished 2 to 3 pairs. It's October I only finished 1, which is just fine because I made a lot of progress on the others, which we'll see in a minute. So the pair that I finished in October were these Scrappy guys, which I made using leftovers from my Advent project last year. So all the fun colored stripes that you see in here, with the exception of the heel color, were leftovers from my Ruby and Roses mini skein bundles that I used for my Daft Days cardigan last year. And then I just used this dark purple with them in between the stripes. Still ended up with a pretty short sock. I really didn't have a ton of leftovers, and I did have to use a different color for the heel because I also ran out of my dark purple yarn. On this one, you can see I actually had to sub in a slightly different color for the toe. It was just the closest color I had, and I think if you didn't know, you wouldn't notice, especially from far away. But yeah, I'm really pleased with how these turned out. Just a super fun striped sock. I really enjoy socks that are this kind of ankle height. Honestly, I did an afterthought heel here, so I just knit the straight tube and then cut in the heel, figured out where I needed to do that based on my foot size. And yeah, I'm really pleased with them. So that is those. The dark purple color is Ritual Dye's Maiden Base in the color Sagittarius. And I honestly might order another skein of that because I just think it's such a pretty tonal. I would love to use it again, maybe even for a bigger project someday, who knows. But I used all that up. I used up all my scraps, so mission accomplished, a totally scrappy pair of socks. Next is a very fun one, and you've probably seen these all over social media. And I definitely caught the hype for these. So I have knit and felted a pair of the Sailor Slippers by Annie Sews, and here they are. What? I can't get over how cute these are. These are like one of those like magic patterns. So I'm sure you've seen the videos everywhere by now, but I posted this as a short, but I could insert the video here that I shared. Basically, you knit these using like I'll talk more about the yarn in a minute, but using like a bulky single ply wool. And what I used was Drop Snow, which is the recommended yarn. So you knit them like huge, like they're like 5 times bigger than you would ever need them to be. And then you throw them in the washing machine and you felt them in the washing machine, and they come out looking like this. It's so easy. I made these in a weekend. I made these last weekend. I knit one on Saturday, I knit the other one on Sunday morning, and by the end of the day, Sunday, they were felted. Like, it's a super quick and easy project. The structure of them is really genius, and this does make the knitting finishing process slightly more tedious, but basically they're seamed all around the bottom. So you start by knitting this back piece separately, and then you pick up stitches and you knit the top piece, which they are also shaped like left and right, which I think you can see a little bit more on the bottom, but there is like a left and a right side. So you shape the top, and then right here at the end of the toe, you switch to your sole color, and then you knit the sole. So it's kind of like one long piece, and then you fold the sole under and it gets seamed. I'm sorry, my cat is yelling. That's Moo, he's yelling. We'll try to ignore him for a minute. You seam the bottom all along here. And what that does is really create a nice structure inside of the slipper. So you can see that seam there on the inside, but it gives it such nice structure. So the bottom really sits very flat, and you get that beautiful curve around the top and the heel. So I mean, the shaping and like the effort that went into designing these is very evident. And I mean, it just works. Like, the felting process, for me at least, was a little bit like trial and error. So I have a top loading machine, which it seems like from the pattern is generally going to felt a lot faster than a front loading machine because it has the agitator, which makes sense. I did throw like a towel in with mine just to give it a little bit of extra felting, but I think all in all, these were in the washer for me for about 35 minutes. Like going around, and then it's a little bit tough to gauge when they're like ready, and you should be prepared to put your foot into a wet wool slipper if you really want them to fit right, because that's what I had to do. I kept checking on them like every 5 minutes after a certain point, and when I thought they were ready, I took them out and I put my foot in, and if you let it spin the water out, it wasn't that bad, but you know, they weren't like soaking wet, but they were damp, so it wasn't the most pleasant feeling. But I had to do that a couple times to get to the point where I really felt like they were small enough. And then once they were, I kind of formed them to my foot. So I like put my foot in, I kind of condensed them a little bit, took my foot out, and then I kind of shaped them just by like pushing, and you know, you want to like push the seams out and just kind of like shape them, and then you just let them dry, and they create these perfect little slippers. They did take a long time to dry because I mean, the fabric is pretty thick, and they're really going to be cushy and warm. One thing I might add on the bottom, then they do recommend this in the pattern as an option, is that you can add some little like glue or like silicone dots to the bottom to make them anti-slip, and also probably to protect the bottom a little bit. I have 3 cats, so I know the first time I wear these out in my house, they're going to be like totally covered in fur and all kinds of gross stuff. So, and that's, you know, that's just the nature of any fuzzy thing in my house. The same thing happens to my hand knit socks. But yeah, so I may add, I might try wearing them and see how slippery they are. If they're really slippery, I will probably go back in and add some little glue dots to help with that. But yeah, how cute are these? I just honestly could not believe how well they turned out and how cute they are. I think there's so many versions. You could do scrappy versions, you could do a solid version, even a color blocked version where like this is a different color than this and the bottom, like so many possibilities, and honestly a quick and fun like weekend project. So I think also, if I really liked the idea of possibly doing these as gift knits. However, after now knitting a pair for myself, I do think it would be a little bit harder to gift them than I originally thought, because I think it would just be really tough to gauge when they were the right size without having the person there to try them on. You could probably do it, or, you know, at least do your best. And the person could also always try and felt them more, I suppose, but I do think it would be tougher to give them as gifts without the person being able to try them on. So that's just my 2 cents, but they fit me perfectly. I'm obsessed with them. They're so cute. I feel like I'll probably make more pairs for myself in the future. And I used the recommended yarn, so let's talk about that, which, as I said, was Drops Snow which I've never used before. I've actually only used drops yarn once before. I know there's some like, I've kind of avoided it, to be honest, just because I think there are some like ethical questions around the yarn. You know, it is extremely cheap, so I'm not an expert by any means. So, you know, maybe if any of you know more about that situation, you could let me know in the comments. I'm happy to hear that feedback. But for something like this, where it has to be felted, it has a really specific end use, I felt better trying it with the recommended yarn at least first to see how that would react. And this yarn I think is like $2 some a ball. For me, I needed 2 balls of each color, and my colors were color 13, color 1, and color 90. Of course, the names are not on the drops ball bands, but I want to say, I mean, it was cream. I think the pink was called Ballerina, and then I don't remember the name of the bottom, but it's this really pretty warm brown. And yeah, the yarn worked great. I think it worked exactly like it was supposed to. So I would consider trying them with a different similar yarn in the future. I think it's probably important that it's a single ply, so it's very easily feltable. Obviously, you'd still want to meet the gauge if you were using a different yarn, but yeah, super fun, quick project. Honestly, I've cast on so many projects in October, and I'm still working on, spoiler alert, I'm still working on the Westknits MCAL. So I kind of just felt like I needed a quick win and a finished project, and these were perfect for that. And now that I've shown them to you, I can't wait to start wearing them today. Sailor Slippers by Annie Sews, so fun, love those. Okay, one other tiny project that I finished that I don't actually have in person because I've already packed away my Halloween stuff is a little knitted pumpkin. So I'll put a photo of it in. I had hoped to make a couple of these this fall, and I did finally get around to making one. I ended up kind of making up my own pattern. I wasn't like super thrilled with any of the ones that I found out there, or they just seemed like overly complicated. So basically what I did was just knit in the round on like a 12-inch circular. I think I cast on like 40 some stitches, and I knit, I don't even remember what I did now, maybe like knit 5, purl 1 or something like that to make the like pumpkin segments. So I had like a little tube basically, and then I closed up one end, and then I stuffed it, and I closed up the other end, and then I used a long tail to kind of like wrap it around each of the segments and pull it tight to create that like pumpkin effect. And then I just used a little cinnamon stick as my stem. So yeah, I think it turned out really cute. I hopefully will make a few more next year. This was my first ever hand spun yarn that I used for this pumpkin, and I didn't have very much of it, so I used up almost all of it, which was great. That was my goal. And it has that really knobbly texture because it was super unevenly spun, but I think it worked perfectly for this pumpkin. So I really love how it turned out. Really happy I got around to doing that. And hopefully we'll make more in the future. But yeah, now it's November 2nd, so Halloween is over and now it's Christmas. I haven't officially started decorating yet, but I did start bringing stuff up, so I'll probably do a little bit like throughout the next couple of weeks as I go. I have a finished spin to share with you, and it is my Wiggins Fiber Club. This was, I don't even know what month we're in anymore. This was probably like August. The color was Virgo's Groove, and it is really, really pretty. Here it is. It's kind of a purple, like a dusty purple with some bits of pink. This one's very drapey. So it's 50% BFL, 20% rose fiber, which is interesting. I actually didn't even realize that. And 25% baby alpaca. So yeah, it has a really lovely drape, really beautiful color. I got about 135 yards here, and it says 50 grams. I do think this one might have been slightly under actually. But yeah, really pretty. Most of these have been coming out around a sport to DK weight for me. This one has a really nice hand feel. I would be curious about spending more stuff with the rose fiber because it's really soft and slinky, but it has like a cool hand feel. It's really nice. All right, and the last one actually wasn't a finished object this time. It was a finished object last time, but I wanted to show you some photos. Last time I told you I had finished my damsel dress, which is a pattern by Roberts Wood. I think I talked about how it was the most difficult thing I've ever sewn. So I won't go into all the details, but I just wanted to show you some photos because we did go to our friend's wedding last month where I had planned to wear this, and I was so happy that I had made it. I really loved how it fit. It felt very special. I got lots of compliments on it. And my friend who was getting married is also a fashion designer, and he like really appreciated it. So yeah, it was great. I really loved how it turned out. I will not be making another one, but I am glad that I made this one. So I just wanted to show you some of those photos from their wedding. All right, and that is really all I had for FOs. That's all I had, just, you know, like 7 things as usual. So let's move on to whips because I'm staring at a gigantic pile of whips today. Okay, so I have like at least 10 whips, so I'll try and go through them fairly quickly. And I am also totally flying by the seat of my pants today because I just realized I didn't take any notes about my whips. So please bear with. If there's anything you have questions about, please feel free to leave them in a comment down below. I'm always happy to answer any questions you might have. So let's jump in. I have 3 half-finished pairs of socks. So I only had 1 finished pair last month, but I've been making a lot of progress on these other pairs. So the first one is the Trompe Le Monde socks from Summer Lee's book, The Sock Project. And I did finish the first one. So I'm working my way through Summer Lee's book. I'm knitting all the patterns, and this is one of my favorite designs in the book. It has this amazing slip stitch detail that kind of creates this checkerboard effect. The yarns I'm using here are the Wandering Flock Baby Paca base, which is a, let's see, what is it? It is 50% extra fine merino, 30% baby alpaca, 20% nylon, and it does say that it's sport weight. And this was one of the yarn sets from my Wandering Flock Sock Club this year. So these were 2 50-gram minis that came together. And you can see it's this pretty apricot and this light blue. And yeah, these are going to be for my partner, Troy. They're going to go in his Christmas box of socks. He's getting a bunch of socks for Christmas. There is a heel flapping gusset. This pattern does restrict the stretch a little bit. The slip stitch restricts the stretch a bit. So I did go up a size from what I usually knit for him. And I think that was the right move because they are definitely restricted stretch. I probably would have preferred if the toe had been in the blue, but with the length of my foot, it just worked out that I ended on a blue stripe. So I wanted the contrast of the toe. And I honestly think I probably wouldn't have had enough of the blue yarn to do the second one unless I had done the second one completely inverse where it was like orange, 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 and this one was blue, blue, blue. So I think it's cute. It's kind of a little mix up. It has both. So I'll be knitting the second one to match this. And I did already start that, but just barely. Here's where I'm at. So that is the first pair of socks. And my goal is to finish all 3 of these pairs of socks by the end of November. So I'm hopefully going to make up for the one I missed last month. And not that I have like a hard goal, like I want to knit X amount of socks. It's just what I normally do. Because I am starting to think about and plan for Vlogmas. So I would like to have all of these socks off the needles by the end of November. That's the goal. Especially because 2 of them are gifts for Troy also. So I need to get those done in time for the holidays anyway. So this next one is also from Summer Lee's book, The Sock Project. I am currently working through the section that is like textured knits, so like knit and purl textures. So that slip stitch one was one of those, and so was this. And this one is wild. This is for me, but I really love it. So here it is. These are the Luna socks, if I didn't already say that. And they are this fun color blocked sock, but there's also this beautiful kind of a broken rib texture on the foot. So I started with these 2 really fun pop colors of ribbing, and these are all just scraps from my stash. I don't necessarily know any of the yarn specifics here. And then you start the texture. I really like this texture. I think it's subtle but very beautiful. I have a super fun pop afterthought heel in this like limey, greeny yellow color. And then a really fun hot pink toe. So I think these are super fun. I love having the super bright pops with the very neutral main color. I really enjoyed knitting these. I'm excited to knit the second one. This would be the one, this is probably gonna be the last priority. I would like to finish the Trompe-l'Oeil socks, and the next pair I'm gonna show you first before I move on to this, but I would also really like to finish this one by the end of November and just kind of have a clean slate when it comes to sock knitting, because I have 2 pairs of socks planned for Vlogmas this year. Okay, next up, I'm obsessed. I finally finished one of the Herding Hen socks by Stone Knits. I've been working on this for so long. These are the other pair for Troy, and I finished the first pair, and let me just show you. They're so good. So I've talked about this before, but the color scheme here and the whole chicken socks in general for him are inspired by this online video game he likes to play called 368 Chickens. It's like a very silly, free little game. It's kind of like Tetris or Candy Crush, but it's chickens. And this is like the color scheme of the game. So these are the colors of the chickens in the game. The background is like navy with pops of this lighter blue. So these are the 368 chicken socks. And these are so fun. I kind of powered through like the last 2 chickens and the toe in the past day or so. Apologies for that. But yeah, so there's 2 different versions of the chart. There's one with 3 colors where the eye is like a pop color, and there's one with 2 colors at a time, which is this version where the eye is just the same as the background color. So I, for ease, opted to do the 2 color version. Now you're still like alternating, like you're doing red here and brown here and yellow here, but you're only ever using 2 colors at once as opposed to 3 colors at once. So we started with a brown chicken, and then we have a really bright yellow one, a white one. In the last episode, I talked about how amazing Charlotte Stone's short row heel is. Look how clean that is. There's no holes or gaps on either side. This is gonna be my new go-to short row heel technique for sure. I'm not gonna give it away because this is a paid pattern, but if you're interested, check out some of her color patterns. We've then got like a slightly different yellow chicken, and then brown and white again. So last time I was asking what order should I go in. I was torn between going, I had gotten to here and I was kind of torn between should I go white again and then brown. Obviously I ended up going brown and then white. And I think that was the right call because in my mind, the white sticks out the most. So I wanted to make sure it was like evenly distributed. And I am really pleased with how they turned out. So yeah, I got to knit the second one. In the pattern, it basically says like, once you're done with these 3 rows of chickens on the foot, you should be at the point that you could do the toe. That was not really the case for me. I had to knit a few extra rows. I had to knit about this much more. So it wasn't enough to do a whole nother motif, but it was definitely more than like what I had at the top. So I kind of split the difference between the navy and the toe color. So the toe is a little bit longer than it would normally be because I knit a few extra rounds in that color plane. But I think it looks fine. I mean, it's not like there's like a ton of awkward extra at the end, but that's just something to note that you might not be able to like finish your motif and start the toe right away, depending on how long you need your sock to be. The Oliver colorwork definitely does restrict the stretch. So just in the same way that the slip stitch does. So normally I knit for Troy like a 56 or 60 stitch sock. He prefers a pretty tight sock. But for these are 65 stitches. I did actually slightly modify the chart to make that number work. And I don't think I've talked about this yet, but the sizes in the chart were like 63 or 72 or something like that. And I was worried that the middle one would be too small and the big one would be too big. I don't remember the exact numbers. But basically what I did was add 1 extra stitch in between all the repeats of the chicken. So like here, 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 and that got me to 65 stitches, I believe, which felt like it would be enough. I also, for the color work portions, knit them on ChalGoo 9-inch circular needles, the twist shorties, where like one needle is shorter than the other. And I went up to a 2.75 millimeter needle for all the colorwork portions. So the cuff and the heel and the toe were knit on 2.25 millimeter double pointed needles, and all the colorwork was knit on the ChalGoo shorties 2.75 millimeter. So hopefully they will fit him. I think they're incredibly fun. In hindsight, I might have just done the chickens on the cuff and not done the chickens on the foot. And I think going forward, if let's be honest, I knit more of Charlotte Stone's patterns, I do think I might leave off the colorwork on the foot, especially if it's these really big motifs. If it was like a smaller all over motif, maybe I would feel differently, but I just feel like, you know, when you're wearing a shoe, this is the only part you're gonna see anyway. This like limits the fit a little bit, and it just takes so much time to knit all these colorwork motifs. Like if I had just done the cuff and then knit the foot solid, I would have been done with this pair of socks like a long time ago. So something to think about going forward, but I mean, these are pretty spectacular if I do say so myself. So very pleased with these. I'm excited to knit the second one, and I definitely see more of Charlotte Stone's patterns in my future. They are so fun. I'm also using all scraps here, just a bunch of little scraps and mini skeins that I had in my stash. So excited to start the second one of those. All right, that's it for sock talk. Let's talk about the Westknits MCAL. This thing is a beast. So at this point, the pattern is out there. I can put a photo in of the finished object so you can see what it's gonna look like. No need to really worry about spoilers anymore because it's been out there for a week or two at this point. I am working away on clue 4, the final clue, and I have this on a pretty short needle, so it's gonna be tough for me to show you, but I will try my best. So the Westknits MCAL, I did a whole video about it. As I said, that'll be linked below. This is my 3rd year participating. I really loved clue 1, which was these scallops here. Really fun, interesting construction. Also really loved clue 2, which was this waves. As I said, I have this on a very short needle, so it's gonna be a little hard to show, but it was these squiggly garter, like short row sections, which I really enjoyed knitting that. Section 3 about Did Me In. It took so long to knit, by far the longest of any of these clues, including clue 1, which was very tricky. And I also am just not sure about it. So here's clue 3. So we started with all these little modular rectangles or diamonds, which I think on their own look really cool. And I enjoyed knitting them, but it took a very long time. And then on top of that, in clue 3, we had this slip stitch section, which is also very beautiful. I love how it looks, but it took just as long, if not longer, for me to knit that than all of these diamonds. So clue 3 was huge. And more so, I don't love how it connected to the rest of the shawl. So we picked up here along the edge of the scallops to start building this out in the opposite direction. But you end up with this huge like seam right here. And it feels very disjointed to me. And you're gonna get this weird little blip at the edge where you're gonna have to try and block that out straight, but there's like a dip there. I just don't love how they're connected. Like individually, I love all the pieces. I think they're all beautiful. I just think it looks very disjointed. But regardless, I'm powering through. So now I'm working on the border, which is clue 4, and I'm almost done with the first brioche section. So you can see this brioche is gonna run all the way along the entire border. So that is the bottom. And there will be 3 of these brioche sections in different colors, and then there are a couple of garter ridges in between, and then a giant I-cord bind off at the end. So I am just taking my time with this at this point. There was absolutely no way I was gonna get it done in the 4 weeks this year. Clue 3 was so massive. It took a really long time. So still enjoying it. I love ending with brioche, but these rows are really long. There's about 500 stitches on the needle at this point. So I did figure out last night because I also want, I must finish this by the end of November. I am not taking this into December. If I do 2 rows a day, I will be ready to do the I-cord bind off by November 22nd. So that is my goal, at least 2 rows a day. If I can do more, great, but I'm not really enjoying these super long rows at this point. So my goal is to just do 2 rows a day and then get the I-cord done in the final week of November. So that's where we're at. I could stop sooner, but I like how it looks with the 3 sections. So let me try and hold it up the right way. So this is the top, and that's what I'm talking about right there, where there's that awkward little like dip between where they join. So yeah, this is kind of like the center point, and then this goes off in this direction, and this goes off in this direction. I do think, I like I said, when it's like flat, I think I do not like that center seam, but every photo I've seen of someone wearing it or having it styled on a mannequin, it looks really good on. So I think that is the saving grace this year. It looks very good styled and worn. So that's gonna be what redeems it. I love my colors. Let me tell you about my colors. So these are all from Frogget Yarns, which is a yarn truck. This is just their superwash nylon 75/25 base. And the colors are this navy, which was Abyss, this medium bluey gray, which was Tornado, this kind of white speckle, which was called Starry Nights and City Lights, and then the pinky purple, which is called Rosy Posy. And throughout, where I had a matching mohair in my stash, I kind of used it intermittently throughout. So in clue 1, I held a cream mohair with the white yarn. In clue 2, I held, sorry, this is so big and unwieldy. I held a purpley pink mohair with that color throughout. Clue 3, I didn't hold one in the diamond section, but I had a Surrey in this color, and I kind of wish I had just replaced this color with the Surrey in this clue, but too late now, because I didn't end up using that color of fuzz. And then I used the pink again in this section, and now I'm using the navy in the border. So yeah, I really love the colors. It's crazy. Sorry, it's so hard to show it right now. I think I'll be really happy with the end result, but clue 3 almost put me over the edge. I just really didn't think I was gonna like it at all. I'm glad I stuck with it, but yeah, I'm kind of ready to be done now. So I'm gonna try and power through my 2 rows a day and get it wrapped up by the end of the month. And honestly, this took up most of my knitting time in October. I know I'm about to show you like a bunch of new cast-ons, so that might not seem like it, but this definitely was the lion's share of my knitting time in October. Okay, now we have 4 new cast-ons, and one of them is the tragedy, so we'll save that for last. 4 new cast-ons. I think last time we talked in my last podcast, I had gotten down to like 8 whips, like under 10 whips, which was the fewest I've had in a very long time. And I immediately dashed all of that by casting on 4 new sweaters. So let's just go through them in no particular order. The first one is the rosy sweater. I will put a photo of it here on the screen. I feel like everyone and their mother is knitting this right now. It is definitely a very trendy pattern, and I think for good reason. I think the design is very, very beautiful. So I am also going to be knitting it. It is unfortunately like the tiniest skosh under size inclusive. It's very, very close, but would love to see this designer going just that extra little mile in the future. But this one it really called to me. So I am going ahead and knitting this one. Let me show you my yarns. So I am using Knitting for Olive merino, yes, and soft silk mohair, both in the color Dusty Violet as my main color. I've had these in stash for a long time. I had bought them to make something else. I don't even remember what anymore, but now they're gonna be this. And then my contrast color, I am using this gorgeous lightly variegated color. Jess gave me this, and I actually have 4 skeins of this, so I'm just using one for this. This is Explorer Knits and Fibers Cashmere Cavern Sock, 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon. The color is, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, Fiad. I believe it's from their Ireland collection. And I'm going to be holding that just with some cream Surrey from Shirsty Cat Designs. So those are my colors, and here's where I'm at. Also a little tough to show. I am just about to start the color work. So the next round is going to be color work. I basically finished the yoke or not the yoke, I finished the top of the yoke, and now I'm ready to start the color work. So the construction of this is super interesting. You start by shaping the back. So you knit like a little bit of the top of the back. There's a little bit of short row shaping in here. And then you pick up and you knit a little bit of the front, like just the shaping here. And then you pick up stitches along the side and start increasing for the armhole. So it's all like a contiguous it's kind of like a contiguous like drop shoulder hybrid. It's a really interesting construction. Like no stitches were picked up like just here, and then the rest of these are increases, but it kind of creates this like drop shoulder shape. Yeah, it's a really interesting construction. And then now we've been doing sleeve increases as if it was like a raglan here. So these are like raglan increases. And now we're going to start the color work. And while we're doing the color work, we'll still be doing raglan increases. So super interesting construction. I'm really excited to start the color work. I just haven't had a minute to really sit down and like focus on that, but maybe I'll do that later today. We'll see. I think it's going to be really beautiful. I have to say, I don't know how people are cranking these out so quickly. It's a fairly small gauge. I mean, it's DK, but I want to say it's like a 22 or 24 stitch gauge. Like it's fairly, you know, it's a lot of knitting, especially because it's so oversized at my size. That's a lot of stitches. So it's not quite as fast going for me as it seems to have been for some other people, but I think it's going to be a very beautiful wearable fabric, and I'm very excited. So no deadline or timeline on this or anything, but just enjoying it as like kind of a background knit, and I'm really excited to add the color work. I think I'm knitting size, let's see, 2XL in that one. All right. Okay, next one I'm also really loving. This one was hard to put down. So my partner Troy and I are getting married next year. We're getting married on October 17th. So we are officially less than a year out, and we are going to be going to Japan for our honeymoon. And I knew I wanted to, we're going to go in like late October, early November. So it's going to probably be fairly cool or even cold while we're there. And I knew I wanted to knit a couple special things to take on that trip. But what I knew I didn't want to be doing was like frantically knitting before the wedding or the honeymoon. So I thought I'll start now a year in advance and have these special things to take with me. And I just got it in my head that I wanted to knit something with Noro to take because Japanese yarn makes sense, right? So I scoured the internet for some Noro Madara, which is very hard to find, especially in the neutral colorways. I did end up finding, sorry, this is just like a partial cake, but I did end up finding enough of this color, which is, I think it's color 3. And I do not remember off the top of my head what the name of it is, but it's kind of like a cooler blue gray. I think the one you tend to see a lot is color 01, which is sake, which is a lighter, warmer gray. This one is definitely on the cooler side. It's a little bit darker. And I am holding that together with Isugar Alpaca 1 in the color 1, I guess. I'm not exactly sure. Oh, color E3S. So it's undyed alpaca lace weight. And I'm using these to make the Lakes cardigan by Ozetta. This is the recommended yarn combination for this pattern. This is actually the exact same color of alpaca that she uses for her version. She uses that Noro Madara sake color for hers. And so I cast this on October 17th, which was officially 1 year out from when we will be getting married. And I kind of couldn't put it down. It's super fun. I am loving it. Here is where I'm at. Again, everything's on short needles right now, so kind of hard to show, but here's where I'm at. I finished the yoke and I just joined in the round. I've knit about 2 rows in the round. But yeah, you can see we've got a cardigan forming here. This is a true saddle shoulder construction. This was my first time doing that. So first you knit this rectangle here, that's the saddle. Then you pick up stitches you knit both saddles, and then you pick up stitches for the back and you knit the back, pick up stitches for the front and knit the fronts. And as I said, I've now joined in the round. So you can see that Nora Madara magic. It's just got all those beautiful colors in it. It's lovely to work with. I think adding the alpaca was really smart. It adds a lot of structure and some evenness to the fabric, which it definitely benefits from. And I think the finished garment will benefit from that added structure as well. So yeah, loving it so far. Love the color. If it was up to me, I would probably just be knitting on this and nothing else, because this type of yarn is just so fun and satisfying to work with. Just all the little color changes, like every stitch is different, and that makes it really exciting. So now that I've joined the body, you can see I've knit, like I said, like 2 rows. It's just knitting back and forth until the body is finished. So this is now at a point where it's super easy for me to just pick it up and put a few rows on it, which is great. I'm definitely happy to have a project like that all the time, where if I just need something really mindless, I can just pick this up and work on it for a while pretty easily. And this one I'm knitting size 6. All right, what's next? So the next 2 are kind of, I'll talk about them in tandem, and actually maybe I'll go ahead and talk about the tragedy first. So the next 2 are my kind of like holiday knits that I wanted to work on this year. One is Northern Augustine's number 4. These are both by Anne Sophie Velling of Augustine's Knitwear. So the first one was this, which is this amazing bow colorwork sweater. I've been obsessed with this ever since it came out. This was the year I decided I'm finally gonna knit this. I started it, got carried away, loved it. This is the tragedy. I'll tell you more in a minute. The second one is, I believe, Augustine's number 21. I'm not exactly sure what the difference between Augustine's and Northern Augustine's are, but here's a photo. This is a dress. It is a really pretty, like, oversized flowy dress with an elastic waist, and it has poofy sleeves and some lace. It's really, really pretty. And I was at least wanting to start both of these. I was hoping to finish the bow, the Northern Augustine's number 4, in time to wear it for Christmas this year. So this one got a lot of attention in the past month, and let me just tell you about it. So the yarn I'm using is, where's the ball band? Do I not have it? Oh, there it is. This yarn was very generously gifted to me, again, by my friend Jess, and it is this beautiful pink. This is Hello Stella. I mean, the label is perfect for this sweater in this color. I can't even. This is their untreated Highland wool. It's 100% wool DK, and I believe it's naturally dyed. So this was going to be my main color, and I am holding that with Knitting for Olive Soft Silk Mohair in the color Ballerina. So this was my main color. My contrast colors were Knitting for Olive. I believe this one is, what color are you? Pomegranate, slightly more of an orangey red. And then I'm holding it with, oh, maybe this is pomegranate. I'm sorry, I can't remember. The mohair is quite a bit brighter, but together they made like a really pretty red combo. So I'll just show you how far I got and then tell you what happened. So last night I thought I finished the yoke, and here it is. And I'm totally obsessed. I think it's beautiful. I love how the bows look. They're so fun. I thought that I had finished the yoke and I was getting ready to split for sleeves. Here's the back. They're the same. There's no short rows or anything. And I realized when I went to split for sleeves that I had 100 fewer stitches than I was supposed to have. Yes, you heard me right. 100 stitches. And as I was knitting it, again, I was knitting this on a very short cable. So I kind of thought like, oh, it looks a little small, but I was like, oh, it's just scrunched up on the cable. It's fine. It was not fine. As I said, when I went to split for sleeves, I basically just didn't have enough for the front portion because I was short 100 stitches. And I was like pretty devastated. I have spent a lot of time working on this, especially in the past week. And to get to that point where you're like, you know, when you finish the yoke, it's such a relief. You're like, oh my God, it's beautiful. I'm so excited to finish the sweater. I felt like I was really cruising and I was so pleased. And then I realized I was gonna have to start over. And that was pretty heartbreaking. Like I had worked on this for hours yesterday, so at the very end to realize that all of that was for nothing was very tough. And you know, this happens in knitting, it happens all the time, it happens to everyone, but like it was very tough. I really had to take a beat. And yeah, I'm still not sure what I'm gonna do about it. So I know exactly how this happened, and I will tell you that now. So this pattern, as written, has a really chunky double folded collar in the pink color. And I knew I wanted to do something different with my neckline. So what I ultimately landed on, and I was really excited about, was that so basically I cast on in the red because I knew I wanted my neckline to be red, and I just started knitting. So I just cast on the number of stitches that it said in the pattern for the neckband, which was like 80 some. And I just started from there. And the chart is the same for every size. So it's not like I used the wrong chart or anything like that. So I knit. And then the other modification I was gonna make was that I was going to add short rows underneath the yoke on the back to help lift the back neckline since there are no short rows at the neck. So what I was actually doing was putting markers in where the raglans were gonna be, or like where the sleeve separation was gonna be, so that that could help me determine like where my short rows were gonna go to. So that's what I was doing when I realized my mistake. So that's the other modification I will eventually make to this. But my plan was to pick up around the neckline with the red and knit an I-cord to finish it off. But in the back, I was going to leave long ties so that I could have an actual I-cord bow on the back in the red to like mimic the bows. I thought that would be so cute. So that's what I'll eventually do. But alas, I realized my mistake. And what happened when I looked back at the pattern was that when I had cast on, I missed one sentence of the pattern where immediately after finishing the collar, you do an increase round before you start the yoke. So instead of having the 120 some stitches I was supposed to have when I started the yoke, I only had the 80 some stitches that were used for the collar. So I missed that one line, and that is going to be the reason I have to rip this out. And it's really sad. I feel sad about it. I won't lie. That was pretty bad feeling. Did not feel great. So yeah, at least now I know what I did wrong, and next time I will definitely fix it. I did try it on to see if it was even salvageable, but the stitch count that I have is actually quite a bit smaller than the even smallest stitch count in the pattern. So I did try it on, and I think if I wanted this to be a skin tight sweater, I could probably make it work, but that's not what I want. I really wanted it to have that oversized look, that really big, dramatic, impactful yoke. So I'm gonna be ripping this out. R.I.P. Let's have a moment of silence. Yeah, it's sad. At least I know I love it. I love this color combo. I think that it's really beautiful, but yeah, I am gonna have to rip the whole thing out. So I'm not sure if I have the strength to do that I'm gonna rip it out now, but I'm not sure if I have the strength to knit it again this year, or at least right now. So I'm going to rip it out, and then I think probably the yarn's gonna go back in my stash until at least after the holidays. I could see revisiting it as like a Valentine's sweater. I think that would be really cute. Or if not, it might not get picked up again until next year. Because I don't know. I say that, but then on the other hand, part of me wants to just like restart it now while it's fresh in my mind so that I don't make the same mistake. So I don't know. What would you guys do? What do you think? Should I start it over? I think if I start it over, I'm just going to release myself from the expectation that I'll have it done for this Christmas, because that was why I was working on it so much, and I don't know if I want to work on it like that much, that frantically again. So if I cast it back on now, I just think I'll work on it more slowly and not have the expectation of having it ready for this year. What do you think I should do? It's very sad. Yeah, that's my tragedy. But since I'm not gonna really focus on that, and I'm just gonna try and focus more on this other project, which is the dress. And I don't have as much done here, but I did get it started. So I am, for this, using Newtoden, and I am knitting size 5 for both of these. Here is my Newtoden. I got it from Stash, someone else's Stash, so I don't know what the color name is, but it's this gorgeous like black cherry color. Really, really pretty. I did go ahead and wind it up into a ball because I'm holding it double. And then I did purchase some matching mohair from Pearl Soho. This is their tussock base. So I'm holding these together. This is a really chunky knit. It's knit on 10mm needles. So I haven't worked on it that much, but it's working up really quickly. So here's what I have. Oh, that's the back. Here is what I have. Again, this one doesn't have any short rows either. I'm noticing this is kind of a theme with Anne Sophie Belling's work, which is not my favorite. I kind of wish I had tried to add short rows in here. It's knitting up nicely. It is definitely going to be a fairly open fabric. I'm hoping the Newtoden is going to fill in the gaps a little bit after blocking. This one does have a contiguous shoulder construction, so you can see there, you increase here, and then it has a puff sleeve, so you kind of increase rapidly at the sleeve cap, and then you can see that little puff sleeve is forming. So yeah, just working away on the body of this one. So far so good, no massive errors on this one yet, but it is knit on these giant needles, so it's honestly not as quick as you might think because the yarns are pretty fragile, but it's been enjoyable so far. So nothing scary or sad to report about this one yet. I'll keep working on it. I will probably have to make or buy some type of like slip to wear under this, I think, because it is going to be a little bit sheer even if the yarn puffs up a bit. But yes, those are my sad whip updates and my holiday plans, I guess. I also don't think I'll finish the dress in time, so I don't know. At this point, I might just have to rewear last year's sweater, so, and that's fine. All right, that's it for knitting whips. 37 minutes later. Really quickly, a spinning update. So I've been working on spinning a big combo spin, my first kind of garment spin, using 4 braids of mostly Shanico blends that Jess picked up for me when she was in upstate New York, and that was such a nice gift. They're gorgeous. So I don't have the braids right in front of me, but I finished the second bobbin. So I've got 2 finished bobbins and I'm well on my way on the third one. And you can see there's one they all have kind of a cream base. One has some more like autumny tones. One had lighter pink and purple speckles. This one was more heavily like sari silk. It had a lot more color in it. And then there's one, like you can see on the end, that just has some like neutral and black flecks in it. So I'm spinning these up in a big combo spin. I'm gonna ply them all together. This is gonna be a massive plying job. It's gonna take forever, but I'm so excited to see this yarn come to life. I am thinking that I might knit another Hiesu with this, which is a pattern by Vera Valimaki that I made earlier in the summer. I think this could be really, really cute. We'll see how much yardage I get. It's 16 ounces of fiber, and I'm hoping to get like a worsted weight. So we'll see. I think that would be enough to do a Hiesu, maybe even one size up from my last version, which would be nice. So we'll see. That's my initial thought, but we'll see how it turns out. Really enjoying spinning the Shanico fiber. It kind of like spins itself. And then lastly, I just want to talk about 2 upcoming sewing plans, and they're kind of the same, so this will be pretty quick. But it's not often that I'm like in the middle of a sewing project. Usually I like cut it out and start it and finish it all in one day. But I am planning to make the Daphne top and the Daphne dress by Blackbird Fabrics, and I can put photos of those in here. So same pattern, but the top and the dress version. And I have these all cut out and ready to go. So for the top, I am going to be using this really fun checked linen from Blackbird Fabrics. I think the color was like dragon fruit. I've got all my interfacing and everything here ready to go. And then for the dress, I am using this really pretty block print fabric, also from Blackbird Fabrics. This is pretty thin, so I'll definitely have to wear something under it, but I loved this like red and black block print. So yes, I have those cut out and ready to go. I just need to find some time to sew. Okay, that is it for whips. That was like a mega whip segment. So let's pause here, and then I just have a couple of things I'm gonna frog. One thing I'm gonna frog to show you, a couple of acquisitions, and some chat. Okay, so there is one other thing I've decided to frog. And you know, it's just because the more I was looking at it, the more I just really didn't want to work on it, and I really didn't like it. So that is my Matka pullover by, oh, I'm blanking on the name, I apologize, but this is from the 52 Weeks of Scrappy Projects, a book by Lina Magazine. And I really love the pattern. I think it's super interesting, but I just was not loving my yarn choices and color placement. It just really wasn't working. The further I got, the more I really did not like this super dark stripe at the top. I wish I had chosen a lower contrast there. I also really didn't like this cream color with the rest of the colors in the sweater. And this cable portion, I really didn't enjoy knitting at all. I found it very tedious, and there was more of that coming. So I just didn't like how it was turning out. I mean, it's meant to be scrappy and crazy, but I just didn't like how it was turning out, and I just wasn't enjoying knitting it. So this one is gonna get frogged, and maybe I could revisit it another time. It is a cool pattern. I wasn't liking my yarn choices, and I just don't think I even would have enjoyed wearing this as like an around the house sweater. So it's getting frogged. Mercilessly frogged. That one I'm not sad about. The other one I'm sad about. All right, and I have a couple of acquisitions, but these are just my 2 clubs that I'm in this year. The first is the Wandering Flock Sock Club. So like I showed you, that blue and apricot yarns I was using for the Trompe Le Monde socks. Those are part of this club, and the most recent one is definitely my favorite yarn of the club so far. It is this gorgeous kind of rainbow sprinkles color. They are calling this Cake, so that's perfect. This is also that baby Paca base. I love it. I can't wait to knit with this. So gorgeous. Love. The club also comes with a pattern every month, but I have to say, I haven't really loved any of the patterns. I had started knitting the first one and just found it kind of tough on my hands. It was the Starry Northland pattern. It was really pretty, but the lace pattern was hard to knit, at least for me. And these clubs also have each come with like a little gift each month, like a little accessory or something. And those have also been a little disappointing. Just things I already have or things I won't use. So I definitely would have some feedback about this club, and I don't think I'll participate again next year, which is a bummer because I really love Wandering Flock. I think what they do is gorgeous. This is their first time ever doing a club, so I'm hoping that they're going to send out a survey or something. My main feedback two things. One is that they have been spoiling the color every month. So because they are selling the extras, they've been posting about it before everyone gets their package in the mail. So like half the fun of a club is the surprise of what you're gonna get. But they've been posting about it on their Instagram in advance, like before they send them out. So that's been a little bit, it's taken some of the fun out of it, I have to be honest. And the other is that there's no information included in the box. So like you get the yarn, you get the little gift, and that's it. But like the second gift, for example, I have no idea what it was. Like, and I talked to my friend Jess is getting the same club, and she also was like, yeah, I don't know what this is. Like, it was like some kind of little like plastic cute like sheep thing, but we were like, we don't know what this is. So it would be nice to have like a little insert in the box that was like, here's what the gift is, here's how to use it. Like, it's just kind of, there's not a lot of explanation. So yeah, I think it's been a little bit rocky. I think the yarns are beautiful. I'm definitely going to use the yarns, but I'm probably not going to participate again next year, which is too bad. But honestly, I think I've just kind of learned my lesson that I probably just shouldn't participate in these mystery clubs because I end up not loving everything I get. And I understand that the mystery is part of the fun, but I do also feel like I would rather spend my money on things I know I'm gonna love. So that's just something I need to learn. And I feel like these next ones are another example of this. So the other club I'm in this year is the Kira Wiggins Fiber Club, which has been really fun. So I get a 50-gram bat of fiber every month. And I'd say they've been kind of hit or miss for me. Like some I have loved, like the purple one I showed you earlier. But the next two I have that I'm going to show you are beautiful. I mean, objectively beautiful. They're just not the kind of things I would normally buy for myself. So now I'm going to figure out what to do with these. So I don't know which month is which, but these were the next two that I got. So the green is, oh, that must be the September one because that is September issue. It is 75% Falkland, 25% Finn. This one I do think is really pretty. It's just not a color I ever wear. This one is called Acorn Spice, which I think this was also their India Untangled exclusive colorway. It is 85% BFL, 15% recycled sari silk. Honestly, these two could be interesting as a combo spin, but the way I've been doing this club is just spinning them all up individually into kind of like 50-gram mini skeins, and then I'm going to figure out what to do with them all at the end of the year. So my initial thought was to knit them into a sweater, and I might still have enough even if I left out a couple that didn't really go with the rest, but we'll see. I feel like they might end up being a variety of smaller projects. We will see. These two would be pretty together in like color work or something as well. So yeah, I also got those. All right, that is it for acquisitions and all of that. So I did just have a couple things to chat about. And the first one was Rhinebeck. Obviously, I didn't go this year. I had so much FOMO for everyone that went. It looked like it was perfect weather and like a beautiful weekend. So I hope if you went, you had a wonderful time. I do have my Rhinebeck recap from last year, my video. I actually went back and watched it myself because I was feeling the FOMO, and it's still super fun. So if you're interested in that, I'll link that down below. I would love to go again someday. I think not next year because we're going to be getting married that weekend, but in the future, I think whenever I am free, if I don't have a work conflict, I probably will try to go. So I'm sure I'll get back there again someday. And the last thing I would love to get you all's feedback on, and this is something I've been thinking about for a while and kind of have been going back and forth on it. I am thinking about starting a subscription for this channel in the new year. So the rest of this year is going to be just like normal. I'll have my 3 Friday Fiber Chats this month and my November podcast. And then in December, I'll be doing Vlogmas all month. But I think in the new year, I would like to start a subscription for the channel. And mostly this is because I love doing this so much and I want to keep doing it and I want to keep building community with all of you. But it is a lot of work, and I feel like any like little bit of income that I could generate from this work that I'm already doing would really just help me to keep doing it and keep growing it and improving the channel. You know, this is a very scrappy setup. I'm filming on my phone. I'm just using lights that I already have. I'd love to be able to invest a little bit more in the podcast. So this is something I've been thinking about for a while, and I'd love to get you all's feedback on what format you would like to see, or anything you would like to see from me for the subscription. So my thought is, and I'm still figuring out all the details, but my thought is that I will offer the subscription on YouTube and Patreon, and I will the podcast episodes will still be available to everyone, and I think one Friday Fiber Chat a month will be available to everyone. So my thought is that the subscribers will get those 2 extra Friday Fiber Chat videos will be exclusive for subscribers. So you would get 2 extra videos a month than the general public. I think I need to figure out what the extra perks will be though. So that's what I'd love to hear from you all. Like, what extra things do you love to see from makers that you maybe subscribe to on Patreon or here on YouTube? Would you be interested in like lives? Would you be interested in I would just love to hear from you what you think you'd be interested in. I know one benefit on Patreon is that the videos are also ad-free. I'm not sure if that is also available on YouTube subscription, so I still need to look into all of this and figure it out, but I will probably be doing that in the next few months. So if you have any feedback, I'd really love to hear it. Like I said, I hate to feel like I'm like gatekeeping any content, but I do think this is important for me to be able to keep this going. It's something that I would like to try. So I'd love to hear what you all think. I would genuinely love your feedback and any suggestions that you might have. So thank you for hearing me out on that and hopefully being open to it. And if, I understand not everyone is going to be able to subscribe, and that is like totally fine. I want this to still be accessible content for everyone. So yeah, just something I've been thinking about and a change that is likely coming in the new year. So that is really all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, please ring the bell so you can get notifications whenever I post a new video. Like this video, make sure you're subscribed. You can even share the video. Everything you do helps us build this community here, and I'm just so grateful to all of you. So thank you so much for watching. Please leave me a comment. I love to hear what you're working on. Did you work on the MCAL? Did you go to Rhinebeck? What do you think about the subscription thing? I would love to hear from you. So again, thank you for watching. I will be back probably next week with a Friday Fiber Chat episode for you. Not sure what about yet. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And in the meantime, I hope you get lots of knitting time in and have a cozy fall time with your crafty projects. All right, thank you so much. I will see you next time. Bye.